Angry and righteous, illegal, stray, seven, coveting, lust, deception, envy, thy gluttonous labor with pride and fear, piacular eyeballs looking through binoculars at a flock of horny pink flamingos. Tongue weight is losing like a grasping kitty, licking phony, bony, pig hogs. The wrath of a lech and a concubine when the vanity mirror ate a raisin and melted in the microwave. That a greedy sloth garnished with a pancake.
Hi, I'm Laura Keitlinger. Thanks for coming down tonight. I've got a couple of jokes on the subject, so I guess I'll just get to it. I think especially out here in LA, you can't be too rich because everyone just wants to make a movie about a hooker with a heart of gold that makes money. That's what people come to see. There are movies like Pretty Woman, Indecent Proposal,
Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas, Sense and Sensibility. No, that's not one.
Laura's Story.
Laura's Story, Striptease, Showgirls.
Right.
And all of these movies, all they're saying is that the highest goal a woman can reach is to sleep with a rich man. And that's just such a small part of it. Thanks for coming down today. Wow.
Gentlemen, I think we're in agreement. Let's open the bar.
I guess the question, though, is more philosophically, can you ever be too rich? What do you think? Can you be too rich?
God, no, no.
And why not?
Well, I don't know. Dana, you could probably relate to me on this one. If you're coming from a place of lack, which I feel that I am, you know, coming from a poor background and blue collar and, oh, Christ, I'm coming down, I'm sorry. No, I just think you just feel like you can never have enough. And do you think Bill Gates ever says, you know what, I think I'm too rich now. This is stupid, I'm going to just quit. You can't be, because I think at one point it becomes an addiction. It's making more and more.
There is a fear that people from no background come from, and I know I inherited this fear from my father, that one day they're just going to come and take it away from you. That a truck and some guys are going to come out with goggles and suits and take all your money and your possessions.
Why
You're gonna be
goggles?
living under a box.
Why the goggles, though?
Because
What
they
did your
don't
dad
really
do
want
to
to
you?
see
Dana,
it.
come on, what?
Open up. Oh.
Yeah.
And so I think there's that constant consumption.
Money, if you're aware of the power of it, can start to corrupt you. So you could reach a point where, you know, you go over the edge and the money starts to warp you like Elvis. You start hanging out, you know, watching women in suits, what do they wear, little white underwear and dancing around, and or eating too much. But people.
Well, you don't need money to do that.
No, but the idea that with money you could do whatever you want, and that could corrupt who you are as a person.
For sure. I've seen people who get $60 and just turn on a dime, you know?
Right.
You're like, hey, it's your turn to buy the picture. Screw you, you know? Where were you 20 minutes ago? It's different for everybody, you know? Yeah, everybody can have
Working
that.
this 60. I'm going places with this 60.
Yeah.
Generally, historically, people have been really bad at having a lot of money and a lot of power. So many rich people tend to think, well, you know, get jobs or whatever. Get money like me and everything will be fine.
It's like these people who go, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Yeah, but you have to have boots.
It does definitely twist people.
Howard Hughes walking around going, I wear a sheet and I have Kleenex boxes for shoes, and so do you, so what's the problem?
So yeah, money, I mean, is inert, but generally I think what people have done with money has, for the most part, been sort of twisted. Not only do you have to get a car, but you have to get a great car. And you don't buy a house, you have to get a great house. You don't have to work, you don't have to achieve, you have to be rich in order to get the best stuff that the people who sell the best stuff are selling you on TV.
Now, see, I would buy a tape from you. You're better than Tony Robbins.
Thank you.
It's true. I'm like, yeah,
Power. There are people who think we're rich. You know,
Oh, I know, my
people who
parents.
think I'm rich and think if you're, I'm rich, yeah.
You got it.
Movies are like a Bob Barker pricing game and the Price is Right.
All I know is you've had a different shirt on every show, and that tells me something.
$250, lower. $225, lower. $140, $59, $58, $57. We're going with Judge Reinhold. So, you know, that's it.
Since I love to talk abstractly and make no sense over the course of a half hour, I thought I would strive for concrete examples of people who would have too much money. If you have a Laserdisc copy of Willow or Sister Act 2, think about that. Laserdisc, maybe not too much money, but Willow or Sister Act 2, you've got too much money.
You're talking about stupidity and too much money.
Yeah,
It doesn't
maybe,
always-
and that's
yeah,
so
okay.
you can be too rich. If you're not too smart, you can be too rich. If you're replacing your Leo Sayer albums with CDs, you know, I really should get the CD. You've got too much money.
I think basically life is a balance. How's this for wisdom? And if you have too much of something or too little of something, you kind of get a little cuckoo. Yeah, I think too much of anything can make you.
But how do you balance it out? How would you do that?
I think probably a good relationship.
Oh,
And,
come on, Melissa. Can we?
Oh, here we go.
That's a good way to go. You can be given too much money real easily, but you can never earn too much money. Maybe you'd feel good then. If you were really earning your money, if you felt that what you were doing was, you know, the money you were getting was justified, it was good, it came from a good place, you'd feel comfortable with money, you'd earn it. And then those are the people who come from nowhere, make a lot of money, feel good about, know where they got the money, know who they are, aren't corrupted by the money, know what it means to get it, give it to their kids, and the kids are all screwed up because they didn't earn the money. They're just living wealthily. I think Bill Gates, who you're talking about him, he has said that, you know, he's not really making money now. He is just in the business of creation. And it's a business of creation that's dumping huge loads of cash on him. He says, I'll give away all but like a few $100 million of my dollars. He'll give away billions of dollars at some point. But right now, it's what generates everything else, so what keeps the whole thing going.
I could say that too if I was Bill Gates. In fact, I'll say it now. Someday I'm going to give away billions of dollars. So that's what bothers me with people, especially in the entertainment business. You see people who, and it has to do, I think, with, like you say, a honk, just a big lump sum of money all at once. And it screws them up, and they deny it too. You always see celebrities on TV, and they always talk, oh, the money doesn't change me. It's not the money, like they're still worried about the cable bill, you know? I think I would be more honest, and I'm going to make a pact to myself. If I ever do become a multi-billionaire, I'm going to be more honest. If anybody ever approaches me in the street and says, oh, Mr. Butt, we're big fans of yours, my wife and I, we think you're just the greatest, I'm going to say, well, you should. These shoes cost more than your home. And just put it in, you know, perspective that they can understand.
You know, I used to have a kid next door to me who his parents would let him send away to the Topps baseball company and get all his baseball cards for the whole year, the whole set, for one price. Well, my dad would sometimes bring home a pack of cards for me, some days not, and I'd slowly, through trading and collecting, never complete the year. And I used to envy the kid next door because he had the whole stack, but turns out I had a much more entertaining time with my cards.
I do subscribe to Kevin's theory that since he is wiser and older,
the old apple in the
he's
barrel.
the apple in the barrel. No, that I think if you do inherit, if you don't earn what you've worked for, does that make sense? If you don't earn your money, then it completely screws you up because we're all so insecure and worried about deserving things in life. When you all of a sudden have this you know, pile of gold and you wonder what you did to deserve it, and then you start turning to whores and...
Right. To fill your empty life.
Right, Dana?
Those questions will be, you'll get those questions asked of you by life. You know, someone will say, your relationships will change. It's, what Tom was saying is true, and it's like a dharmic principle of like an illusion, a delusion. And then you can hear people talking about what money means. You know, I could buy this suit, or I could live in this house, or I could have, you know, what I would do if I got the money. And it's all an illusion. And then when you get it, if you get some money, you suffer from it for a while. You have this illusion. They're really suffering from an illusion that they're better people and that they somehow have mastered life.
If you trace it back, you find out they invented fake barf.
And on a small scale, like if you don't have that wisdom, that for sure happens. I've gone through it on a very small scale where you go from, I mean, doing stand-up comedy is such a, you know, you never know where your next dollar's coming from. So you go through periods of time when you have nothing, like literally nothing, you know, where my lawyer's going, why didn't you send me that thing? Because me and my friends couldn't get stamp money together, honestly. And then all of a sudden, whonk, you'll get like maybe $4,000 given to you. And you lose your marbles. It's like you deny yourself nothing because you've denied yourself everything for so long. When I gots, everybody gots, and we go out, woo!
You're the Leon Spinks of comedy.
That's right. I actually buy pistols and go down the street.
And I think there's a lot of people who labor under the delusion that money will bring happiness.
No, sure.
And then if you spend your life with, oh, I know when I'm going to be happy when I get a lot of money, and then I don't have to worry about these things that are making me unhappy because the money will solve it. And then when that doesn't happen, big
That's when you get
disillusionment,
screwed up.
big
Sure.
crash.
Because money creates its own problems. But,
In addition to that.
But what
in
I would
addition
like to
to
do
not
is,
solving
I would like to
pre-existing
give that a
ones.
whirl anyway, though. I'm tired of these problems. I'm tired of cutting my hand on the can opener. I'd like to try a new set of problems.
What is the thing that you do that makes you feel like, oh, God, I have too much. This is silly. I know when I have a cell phone, and whenever I'm in the car talking on the phone, I feel stupid.
If you attain a lot of money and you're really rotten, you're going to be old and feel really guilty.
Like, is it okay for Scrooge to finally be forgiven and then, oh, Tiny Tim?
Have a
help me out.
turkey.
There you go.
I'm crippled, I can't hold it. Take the turkey.
It's like a last rites thing in the church, you know.
What if you die before that chance, you know?
Can a basketball player make millions and millions of dollars? Sure. But is it right when he knows that the shoes that he promotes still cost $140 and kids are killing each other for those shoes?
And
but
are
they
made
can't.
in Southeast Asia for pennies.
That's right. And they can't reduce the $140 price because that adds to the millions? Yeah, that's absolutely wrong.
Where do you begin to say, you know, you can't make that kind of money anymore?
You don't keep people from making money. You try and explain to people where to keep the notion of what money can do for them as people. You give them a philosophy and an underpinning that they can live with it.
It's like the stock market in '29. The market can only be inflated for so long before it crashes in on itself. It's a self-correcting mechanism.
What happens? Where are we going to begin to see it?
As far as the film industry goes, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a backlash against the big, giant Hollywood machine, which I would still love to be a part of. But I think there's going to be a backlash that way, and there's going to be more attention paid to the act of making a movie for $9 grand.
You open the Hollywood Reporter, and all you see is big numbers all the way across. Like opening week, they made, you know, 10 million, and it's just all about money.
They put all the zeros in too, don't they?
And it's like, congratulations, another piece of shit, and we made a lot of money.
And it's like on the
It's
news.
a thing that's happened in the past 10 years, and I don't understand it. You know, I'll tell, you know, Ma, you know a movie you should really go see is Unforgiven. Dad would love Unforgiven. Go see Unforgiven. We heard that didn't do that well.
But Dana,
No,
do you
they
think
just-
it's the same thing as like selling a pair of shoes? If you really don't know what kind of shoe you want, I go, well, these are a very popular shoe. Very popular. All that's saying is they sell a lot more of those.
Yeah.
You go, popular, I like to be popular.
It's not a magic potion. I'm the same exact guy with nicer
And yet certain people are
upholstery.
sucking us into that. So if we live in an enlightened time, and we supposedly do, why are our airwaves filled with guys who are hawking?
I'll tell you why, because the guys who have the ultimate message can't buy the airtime. I think, like you can say to people, don't work. Don't plan. Resist everything. Don't do anything you don't want to do. I never started making any money until I quit working altogether. And then you find out what you really are good at. And what you're really good at will probably lead you to a place where, A, you might make some money off it and you'll feel happy about that, or B, you'll be doing what you love. And so you're going to be the winner any way around.
But how
But
do you
the job thing is a hoax. Remember that. Don't work.
But Kevin, how do you justify that to a guy like this, who, and he's not kidding you, has had times in his recent past where he couldn't afford a stamp? I mean, he's an
Look at this poor bastard. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Hey, you work as much as you need to make a little bit of money to get yourself going on what you want to do.
But you can say that.
You can
Say that now that you're comfortable. He'd do anything to be where you are.
I need that
Well,
time.
not anything. I wouldn't do anything.
Then he'll get there.
If you saw the way he pissed away his money, you wouldn't feel sorry for him.
I'm going to quote George Carlin. Rich people are there, make all the money, do the minority of the work, pay the least amount of taxes. The middle class do the majority of the work, pay all the taxes. The poor people are there to scare the shit out of the middle class to keep them showing up at work.
That does make sense.
What about the American dream, though? I always assumed that was just acquiring things. And if that's not what it is, then I don't know what I'm doing here. I might as well be in Canada.
No, that's just recent. That's the perversion of the American dream.
If we all don't come from a community in the first place, people just hoard it's that bumper sticker, whoever dies with the most toys wins.
Right.
Honk, honk.
Yeah. Those are the cars you don't really shed a tear when you see them wrapped around a tree.
Van Gogh didn't have much, but he sure painted well. And, you know, she was a great dancer, but, you know, she could barely pay the rent. So now, as we become more and more comfortable, I guess, you know, you raise legitimate questions about, well, how good is our art? You know, do we really need...
It's good for us. We enjoyed it. They didn't enjoy their lives, probably.
Brent Butt was funny, but he couldn't send a letter. That's what I'm gonna say.
There was some funny stuff in that letter, too. I was wrapping stuff off. I was
Somebody's
drawing
gonna find
parallels.
it years from now, and it'll be like Van Gogh's letters.
Oh, it was a great letter, too. And I ended up wiping my butt with it. I had to wipe my butt with it. It was a piece of brilliance. I wiped my butt with it. I couldn't buy toilet paper.
Just throw a wrench right in the works and turn it off and say, you know, I don't need, you know, the fancy car. I don't need a huge house. I'm fine just today, just the way I am.
Are women as good with money as men?
I quote Wilma Flintstone, charge it.
I love that. I love that episode. It's so good.
If you think about somebody who's born to shop, 9 times out of 10, people say that in connection with a woman. She is born to shop.
I'm walking off the set.
Hey, but Laura, he just meant that 9 times out of 10, the average
So I
knucklehead
wonder,
says that.
Because women are silly and they've got to
no,
buy.
I wonder how do you react to that, Laura?
When you shopping in
I say they're shopping with a little less money because the women don't make quite as much as the men do.
You're hoping to fire us up. That's what it is,
But they're
Daddy.
also going to find bargains.
Oh, I see.
A friend of mine said, well, you know, you'll meet somebody, you'll get in a relationship with a woman, she'll take care of the money, don't worry. So the generalization there was that maybe women are a little more level-headed with the money, certainly than I was.
Eric shops the best.
Look at him. He's
Look at
great.
him.
He's got it all
How do
together.
you clean up nicely?
Wow, thank God. Ballpark, how much was your ensemble?
This, what I'm wearing? Well, actually, there you are. I do like to shop and get clothes. But this,
But
this
you
is,
are-
this
But
is,
see,
Green
Eric
Hornet,
makes
which
his
not a
own
lot of people
clothes. That's why.
And he's trying to make a point.
I'm sorry, go on.
I think if I were ever a wealthy man, I would still act in a lot of ways the way I do. Because sometimes I'll buy shoes that are very expensive, but I'll buy a $5 sport coat. And I'm thrilled to find it because I know it's from the 50s, and there's an old name of somebody that's deceased in there, and I find that exciting. I always think it would gall me because I know these private boxes they have in ballparks and such, and they'll take rich people and they'll put them in there, and then they'll charge them like $5 for a hot dog instead of $2 because they're richer people. I think it must gall you if you're rich sometimes to be then taken advantage of or felt like you don't deserve to have the money you have. What if I became rich? Then I'm a scumbag? I was just thinking about that recently. I would think that I didn't deserve to be rich. I mean,
The more you get and the more you can get, the more you can invest, the more people give you things. You're constantly
oh,
getting...
no, it's much better to be
That's
rich.
sickness, though, isn't it? I mean,
No,
often,
that's why we wanna be
often,
rich.
maybe mostly, it gets out of control. It's time for rich people to understand this themselves and just do it themselves and start giving away money. I really think that.
I'm just picturing a rich guy now with like a 64-inch TV screen just watching this, laughing hysterically. Myrtle, you got to hear this, what he said about us giving the money away.
Thank God we have a country that won't let people just buy up the whole beachfront, block off all the view, and have no access to beaches or anything.
I don't know why we don't have community service for rich people. You know, I don't know why. You know, they don't need to pick up the trash with the little pointy thing, but they could put
called
some
taxes.
money towards it. But more.
You know, the environment may not take much more of what we're putting into it. So all of this.
It's all theories, like the old theory, you know, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You beat him with the fish, he'll come work with you he'll come work for cheap.
So I guess
The responsible, spiritually connected human being realizes that material wealth need only be a finite source, and that over X, it is unnecessary and can be put back into the system to make life better for other people. we haven't evolved to that point where those people exist.
Yeah, you can be too rich if you're socially unaware. But otherwise, if you're aware of what your money's doing and how it's affecting you and those around you, you could have a ton of it. It'd make you very happy, and it could make everybody around you very happy, too.
People can be too rich, and there is this big division between the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, and the separation is getting farther. But it's going to, I believe, it has a way of correcting itself, like with the stock market crash, and I think it will again. It usually happens, it turns itself around once the distance gets so great that the rich can no longer piss on the poor, and it starts getting bad.
You can protect yourself with money in a way. And so within the system that we have, then it is important to be wealthy for your own purposes. And of course, you always think you'd spend the money in the nicest way.
I still, I think you can't be too rich because, I mean, it's perverse, it's unfair, but I say, just give me a stab at it. I just want to try it anyway.
My mom is a middle class. She clips the coupons. She goes to the shop, whatever. She's worked hard herself. She said to me in a phone conversation recently, exploit the rich. Those exact words, I can't really get into what came in front and behind. I go, Mom, what? She goes, if you have the opportunity, exploit the rich. So maybe I'll leave it at that. You can never be too rich. I'll agree with that, even for purposes of this discussion. And exploit it.
Marry rich?
Thank you. You got my money?
I'm going to get my card details.
Angry and righteous, illegal, stray, seven, coveting, lust, deception, envy, thy gluttonous neighbor with pride and fear, piacular eyeballs looking through binoculars at a flock of horny pink flamingos. Tongue weight is losing like a grasping kitty, licking phony, bony pig hogs. The wrath of a lech and a concubine when the vanity mirror ate a raisin and melted in the microwave. That a greedy sloth garnished with a pancake.